A new trailer for Indiana Jones 5 just dropped. Wait, what do you mean that was a week ago? They dropped a trailer while we were on vacation? Again? This is outrageous. It's unfair. Hello? Yes, Lucasfilm. This is Star Wars Explained. You did it again. Yes, I know it wasn't a Star Wars trailer, but that's not the point. I demand to speak to Kathleen Kennedy. Yes, I'll hold. Okay, while I wait, let's break down the trailer. And I know I'm Star Wars Explained and not Indiana Jones Explained, but I do love Indy. And if you're newer here, I have done some Indiana Jones content in the past. As we approach the Dial of Destiny, I will be doing more, if I have time. 2023 is insanely stacked for Star Wars, but I have time now, and I want to cover this trailer, so here we go. Everything begins with some narration by Sala, reminiscing about the glory days of adventure. I love that he's back. John Rhys Davies is fantastic. I don't expect him to have a big role in the story, but a little cameo is nice. While he talks, we see a really cool chase through some desert streets. Cars, motorcycles, and streetcars with Indy jumping from one to the other. If there's one thing Indiana Jones always gets right, it's the car chases. From the truck and horse chase in Raiders to the car and motorcycle chase through the college in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, they are all good. We also see a little bit of underwater adventuring. I don't know what it is about that shot of the skeleton breaking apart, but it instantly grabbed my attention. It feels so classically Indy, like the opening of Raiders. There are some shots of Indy and his goddaughter Helena walking through some ruins, which again looks great. I have to say, I've been feeling a little weird about another director taking over for Spielberg. I think James Mangold is great, but it just seemed odd, you know? But obviously Mangold had Steven's blessing, and now seeing all of these shots, I think he is nailing that Indiana Jones feeling. As Sala continues, we see our first glimpses of the flashback sequence, or maybe it's time travel. We'll discuss that in a second. Whatever it is, it's happening in the past. We see Indy captured by Nazis, an exploding building, trains, motorcycles, and more. My guess is that this would be the opening of the film to set up some of the present-day relationships. In the past, Indy and Toby Jones's character, Basil, fight against Nazis in a race to recover some artifact. Indy runs afoul of Mads Mikkelsen's character, Voller, in the process. They seemingly destroy a train and eventually escape on motorcycle. It all feels very similar to Uncharted 2, which was of course inspired by Indiana Jones. It's kind of fun seeing these elements bounce back and forth. But if this is the opening scene, it's a nice mirror to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and one of Indy's earliest adventures, running across a circus train to protect an artifact from grave robbers. I have to point out that de-aged Indy looks fantastic. Part of me is like, let's wait until he starts talking. Once the mouth starts moving, that's when the digital faces of Tarkin, Leia, and Luke start to look less convincing to me, but I can't deny it looks pretty great so far. Back in the present day, we see a brief glimpse of Antonio Banderas' character, Ronaldo. Banderas has said that his character is basically a cameo, a very small part in the movie. He is a friend of Indy's, and he needs something from him. That's all we know. Fans have guessed he will have a role about the size of Katanga in Raiders of the Lost Ark. We see more of Indy and Helena's adventures through some sort of tomb. They roll a potential trap boulder out of the way, which is another fun potential callback to the past. All of the lighting in these scenes look similar. There's a moment where the floor falls out from under them beneath some water, which is a neat trap, and eventually they find something. I am wondering if that is the Dial of Destiny. We see a couple shots from the ticker tape parade in New York. I believe it's been said that this is for the astronauts of Apollo 11 after the moon landing, which makes sense. The character Voller is said to be a former Nazi hired to work with the United States in the space race against Russia. Boyd Holbrook's character, Kleber, is seen firing a gun into the crowd. Holbrook described himself as Voller's attack dog. It also looks like a rather large man is attempting to kidnap a woman, or maybe just use her car as a getaway vehicle. He seems like a perfect candidate for the classic Pat Roach-style villain Indy has to confront every film. We see more of the car chase from the start, with Helena driving at some point and eventually jumping onto the back of Voller's car. There we can see our only look at a white-haired Voller in the present day. And finally, we get a little bit of her dynamic with Indy, which seems fun, a little argumentative but familiar, and it all ends with Indy attempting to take control of a situation with his whip until everyone points their guns at him in a fun flip of the moment in Raiders, where he shoots the flourishing swordsman. I haven't talked about the title yet, but I love it. Completely pulpy and fun without being a mouthful like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So let's talk about the MacGuffin, the Dial of Destiny. What does it do? I have no idea, but people have been speculating that it could involve time travel. I've heard that a lot over the past years, and of course the de-aged sequence could link to that idea. So let's talk about the potential of time travel in this movie. I do think it's possible the Dial of Destiny could be some sort of time travel device, but I don't really think this will be a time travel movie, so to speak. I don't think Indiana Jones is going to use the dial to go back to key moments in his life like we saw in Avengers Endgame. I just don't think that would fit the format of an Indiana Jones movie, because the supernatural stuff, for the most part, doesn't happen until the end of the story. We spend the whole time trying to find and hold on to the Ark or the stones or the Grail or the skull, and then at the end we see faces melt or turn to dust or whatever. I think the dial as a time travel device makes sense for Voeller's character. I'm speculating wildly, but Mads Mikkelsen has said that Voeller has regrets from the past, mistakes he wants to make right, so he could think the dial would help him do exactly that, but of course there would be consequences, and he still seems like he's working with bad people like Kleber to achieve his goals. The title and the name of the device even suggest altering destiny, altering the present by changing the past as easily as turning a dial. So I kind of think time travel could be involved in this story, but we probably won't see that possibility until the very end when the dial is activated, and that's fine with me. Give us a taste of some really wild time travel stuff that, of course, ends horribly for Voeller and his cronies. Because I think that could be a good theme for the final Indiana Jones film. You can't change the past. You can't fix your mistakes. You can only work to make a better present and future. Indiana Jones is a character that has made a ton of mistakes. He gets beat up all the time. This trailer specifically reminds us of some of those times. I'm sure there would be something in his past that tempts him to use the dial as well. I would guess it's something involving Helena. That's usually how these films go. Indy never gets the treasure he's after. He doesn't get the Ark or the stones or the Grail or the skull, but he does get relationships with Marion, his father, and his son, and in the Temple of Doom he learns that there is more to life than fortune and glory. I wouldn't be surprised if Helena were central to Indy's emotional victory in the Dial of Destiny, but I also like his line about realizing it's not so much what you believe, it's how hard you believe it, which, again, is a pretty central line to Uncharted 2. I imagine that theme will be a focus of the last Indiana Jones movie. But that's all I've got to say for this trailer, and really it's more of a teaser. It's less than 2 minutes long. I bet we'll get another trailer before June 30th. We still have more than 6 months until the movie comes out. That will likely tell us more about the story, what the dial does, who the characters are, and all that good stuff. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for mostly Star Wars but occasional Indiana Jones content, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and remember, it's not the years, it's the mileage.